Hey there, everybody. Welcome to a new Blacklist Season 10 update. Yes, we'll talk a little bit about the Pavlovich Brothers for our rewatch series a little later on. But
hmm
first, we've got some interesting news on Wujing that I am here to eat my massive, massive L. That L is backwards. There's an L. That's the L that I am going to eat for all of this. That is right. Stamp that on my forehead.
I'm having a W
Yes.
because we're going to be talking about Wujing and whether or not he's got a bigger role this season. I had felt like he was going to after we saw Marvin give him the list of people. I mean, it made sense then that he would, but this actor's star is rising. He's in Mortal Kombat, which was a huge hit. He's going to be in the sequel. I was kind of like, I feel like he's going to be in the show more, but like I said, his star is rising. He's got another huge movie on the go. How is he going to be able to do this as well? Well, it looks like we're going to have him more.
We will talk all about that and, of course, a lot more. Hit that subscribe button, though, because every Friday, as we inch
Yep.
ever closer to the premiere of Season 10, we will be here with news, rewatch stuff, all sorts of discussion, and follow us on Instagram as well at Matt and Jess TV.
Okay, speaking of the premiere very quickly, there's
Yeah.
still no premiere date. I know we've been getting a lot of comments about that. I've been seeing it. You guys are like, "Where's the date?"
Yeah.
It's November. Where is it? It's not here yet. As soon as we have the date, we will have a video up here for you. They'll be like titled premiere date, so you know what it's going to be, and we will be here immediately to be able to do that for you. So don't worry.
All right, now we begin the parade of L's, at least for me, with a post from Chin Han on Instagram, making it very clear that he is still working on the show.
Mhm.
Now, if you have been watching these videos, see, I'll explain the full context of my L, where I really felt like the premiere was going to be like, Wujing conclusion. That was gonna be it. He was just gonna go off, do Mortal Kombat. He was gonna pass the just mostly because he was a one episode blacklister in season one, and yeah, Wu Jing was great. It's a great episode.
Yeah, it is.
I just didn't think that this character in particular was going to be around for a substantially larger arc. Well, dot dot dot.
But here we are, and it looks like he's definitely going to have a much bigger role because he posted pretty recently, like I think within the last week or whatever, on his Instagram that he is still working on the show. We already know that, like, the fourth episode was episode 200. That's come and gone. Like, they're getting, deeper into filming now, and he is still there. And it makes complete sense. Like, I just didn't know how or why they would go through giving Wu Jing this list for him to then get wrapped up in the premiere to be like, what are you gonna do with this list? Pass it on to somebody else? No, he's got to be the guy that starts contacting people on the list. And it's like, okay, who are we gonna contact? Everybody. And he is one of the first blacklisters that had like a pretty significant relationship with Reddington, like a pretty big working relationship, and Reddington really screwed him over. So it feels right that he is the guy and that he is the guy who will be around. Also, with his star rising, I'm sure that the Blacklist really would like to keep him around as long as they possibly can. So, they lost Fisher Stevens.
Yeah.
He's a really big name. Chin Han's becoming a really big name as well, that they're probably like, we can keep him around a little bit.
It makes sense, and that's why my prediction is so funny in retrospect, just because, yeah, you do want somebody who is going to be, attracting viewers to the show. You do want
Mhm.
somebody who has a real motivation. Also,
Yes.
Wishing's got an organization behind him, like we
Yep.
already saw. Like, he's a much more capable person for this role than, like, insert random blacklister here who doesn't have any of those sort of outside connections.
Yeah, he's got a pretty big organization. He's a pretty bad dude. I think he's I think, and he's got the motivation. Like, he's going to be on a revenge tour, and he's going to be pulling in everyone else who wants part of the tour, the world tour.
Yeah.
So I think he's the right person. I'm really excited that he's going to be around more than one episode. I was worried when you were kind of floating this idea that he might get wrapped up in the premiere. I was like, what? Why? No, 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 no.
I was on drugs. I do not remember saying any of this. No, I think the real question I'm really interested in moving forward now is just that it's got to be a weird situation if you're in the Blacklist writers room right now, because
Mhm.
from the outside looking in, we don't know anything about, if season 10 is the end, if there's going to be a season 11, and I don't know if they have that information yet. So they may be in a position right now where they're just sort of writing season 10 as though it's not the final season, but they could get the news that it is the final season at any given moment, and then they have to like shift and pivot and like, does Wujing stick around to the very end if it's the end? Does he get wrapped up and they move to somebody? It's like there's a lot of like moving parts that I just envision them having to juggle.
Yeah, because there's a lot of still spots left on the
Yeah.
list here. Like, and I'm sure we're going to get some of them
Yeah.
this season. But if this is like a Wujing revenge tour, then most of the people that he's going to be contacting are people that we've seen before. They're not going to be like, oh, I'm going to grab, number whoever who hasn't actually been affected by Reddington yet.
Yeah, I'm kind of happy for a nostalgia tour for now. It's like, yeah, new
Me too.
Blacklisters, that'll be fine, but it's a really good premise for season 10. Let's just hope we have a date soon, but here are some people who will not be returning for the Blacklist season 10. The Pavloviches, who, you know what, I wouldn't even care if they were. I just like this episode to me. It's not about the Blacklisters, it's about Tom, and that's just the long and short of it.
No, it's true. They were forgettable for me. And this really was the episode of seeing Liz and Tom have that confrontation that they both knew that they were kind of playing each other. And Reddington really tried to set it up for Liz, where he's just like, yeah, this is what's happening with Tom. All of these people, they work for you, which I thought was a really interesting way for him to put it, because we know, of course, and along the way, he's like, this whole empire is yours. All of these people are yours. And it was one of the first times that I heard him say something like that, where he was basically like, oh yeah, that person, yeah, they all work for you. And I was just like, oh, and she didn't really have the reaction that I thought she would, because I'd be like, what are you talking? Nobody works for me. I work for the FBI.
Yeah, I don't know if that was like dangling in the back of her head or something when she was having that reaction,
She
but
was probably just too taken over with everything that was going on with Tom.
yeah, probably so. It is an interesting conversation because it does sort of loop into where we sort of are now with the question of like, what is Reddington's end game going to be now? Like, it's nice that the writers had like that level of foresight to know that, okay, we're setting this up for Liz way down the road, that this empire could be hers. I mean, we've already talked a little bit about like, did they have foresight in Reddington's identity? Did they change their mind along the way? Like, what's going on there? But this feels reasonably consistent, and I would like to hear a little bit more from Red now as to like, okay, Liz is gone, Marvin's gone now, I don't have to worry about him. Who is this empire for? Is this empire for Agnes? Am I just gonna run in till the end of time? Like, what's going on?
Yeah, it doesn't need to be for Agnes. I know that there's a lot of people out there that are like, she'll just take over the empire. Okay, she's like 11. She doesn't need to have this burden put on her. Nobody's looking to kill her.
Yeah.
She's, living with Cooper, going to soccer. Nothing's happening to her. She is fine. She doesn't need to be brought into this criminal underworld. She can just be an 11-year-old that enjoys some soccer. It's okay. And so that does then leave, what is Reddington going to do with this empire? Who's he fighting for to keep it going? Because with Wujing on this revenge tour and bringing in all these other blacklisters, are going to be like, oh, he was working for the FBI this whole time, this task force. Now I'm extra pissed off. Yeah. Is it really going to be that he's trying to keep the empire because he wants to hand it off or whatever? Or is he keeping it because he really needs it now? And how many people were really turned on him by Marvin. Is he going to have to really go through and weed people out now?
I kind of hope so. Just for me, I want to see like all these people who we've sort of come to know here and there over time back on the show and back in this capacity, especially just it's a good treat for people who have watched this show for a long time, and that's been a part of the fun of doing the rewatch. Is just sort
Yeah.
of like reflecting on everything. It's just this episode in particular. I want to say it bums me out because like Ryan's always good, and this
Mhm.
was sort of Tom at sort of the peak of his powers, but it's just sort of like because we know what's going on with Mira and her daughter in season 10 and
Mhm.
Sia coming on board. We've heard Berlin's name. Like I
Mhm.
found myself watching this episode back just being like, okay, can we get to the Berlin stuff? Can we get to the Sia stuff? Can we get, well, not just to the Mira stuff. Can we at
Yeah.
least just like get to that point where some of this stuff really requires like our full attention?
Yeah, because the stuff with Mira is definitely going to be connected to her daughter,
Yeah.
and her daughter's gonna be a huge part of the next season. So, yeah, I'm really excited to get to that part of the rewatch as well, because I think that's gonna get really, really fun with sort of theories of how it's gonna tie in and how it's gonna bring her in.
Well, we will be back to discuss that, some more theories, a whole lot of hopeful other news in the near future. But
Yep.
go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of that we'll have coming your way. And we'll see you here next time.